Brazen Blaze is a brand new arena fighting game where you play in VR and you use your fist to do some collateral damage on the enemy and the buildings around you. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This is the first ever developer team that has come out and messaged me, DM'd me, and said, hey, we saw you're a content creator. Do you want to play this game and give us some feedback? So today, I'm giving you guys all the feedback so that you can understand what Brazen Blaze is about and what makes it so special and what are the pros and cons of playing it right now. Now, fair warning, I'm going to critique this game, so please understand that the game is not terrible until you play it. It's free to play right now. You can go into the open beta, you can play it yourself, see how you feel about it. But for me personally, it's not on my list to play every single day. Now, the game is basically a team deathmatch where you have a squad of 3 versus another squad of 3 fighting in an arena where you can break down buildings, use special abilities, and use ultimates to defeat your enemies and win the match. I'm gonna try to go around here and play it safe, see where they're at. I see him.
I got one. I'm on one.
Gotta get patched up.
Jesus, dude! I barely got a chance to even fight. They're just teaming up and just fucking duking it out. So basically, imagine it having the style of Valorant, the abilities of Overwatch, and I would even say the mobility of another VR game I can't really recognize, but there's some games out there that have different mobility to it. And I'm gonna say this right now. This game has potential for being a really great arena shooter. Now, the other thing is that each character has their own special abilities and weapons and side grades that they can use to try to defeat the opponents. Now, as of May 8th at 9 o'clock, there is only 5 characters you can play. And these characters have their own unique abilities. One of them has a sword, and you can slice and dice people. One has 2 guns. One has a shield. One has a side grade and a special ability to heal players around her. And there's also a robot, which I think is kick-ass, by the way. I really love the design of the robot. I think his name is Legacy, if I recall. And he throws bombs, essentially. Now, when I played each one of these characters, I got a feeling and understanding that certain characters have certain abilities and certain dashes to them. Now, for me personally, I like this because it allows people to understand and get a grasp of what characters are supposed to be doing. You know, for example, Riot is an all-around character where she can use an SMG at range, use side grades or whatever she wants, but she also has a special ability to support her team by healing them. And the other thing is that some characters don't even play close quarters at all, and they actually use rifles. For example, Skybolt. She uses 2 assault rifles and dual wields them. She's basically like the variation of Jinx, but in a much more cutesy outfit. Now, you don't get to use the side abilities off the rip. You have to wait a certain timer for you to be able to use them, which is fine. And how you're going to be able to get your ultimate is by shooting other enemies and doing damage. And once you've done enough damage, you're able to use your ultimate, and your ultimate is depending on the character you choose. For example, Skybolt has bullet tracking, where bullets will actually track the enemies and try to hit their target.
That's not good.
And there's also finishers too. Each character has their own finisher, which I think is really cool. And if you're in the finisher, if you're the one getting attacked, you actually get to see it from your perspective. So, for example, if you're shot up into the air, you're literally shot up into the air. You get to see it all happen. But let's talk about the negatives now. First of all, obviously it's early access, but the gameplay is very busted. And I mean that in the sense of some characters are OP. I think, for example, Skybolt is, I would say, probably the most OP character right now. And the only reason why is because if this game is about hitting people with your fists, but someone has a fucking gun and can shoot from medium to long range, it's obviously going to be simple who wins that, right? By the way, let me show you how much damage it can do, the guns. I'm going to show you how much damage this does. So here. That did almost a fucking half my damage without this guy getting close to me. Like, that's not fun to go against. Someone could just auto track, right, like this. That did more than the fucking Riot's gun. In a game about close quarters, and someone who has like a sword, for example, that can still do projectiles, it's kind of not really close quarters anymore. It's more like medium to long range with a little bit of close quarters here and there. Now, mind you, you could be very mobile and dash around, flank enemies, and hit them in the back of the head, which is totally okay. But at the same time, it feels very disorienting to play the game because a lot of the times people are dashing around, meaning that you have to make sure that you're on target with someone. But the auto lock feature, like lock onto enemies, feels very disorienting to follow because it doesn't work all the time. There's been a few fights where I got into where I'm like, okay, let me auto lock, let me try to fight this guy. And then all of a sudden, the auto lock doesn't work anymore. Like, it doesn't auto lock at all. And I don't like that because my head feels like it's being shaken up by a bartender and then poured out of my ear to make a smooth brain cocktail. So if there was a way for them to make the auto lock feature a little bit more accessible, a little bit better, I think that'd be something I could see being more worthwhile than gameplay mechanic changes, because I feel like games like these, I don't want to get whiplash from them. And the last thing I gotta say is I don't like the event. Now, I get it. The event is cool. It's great for creators. It's great for those who want to earn money playing the game. But what I don't like about it is they set specific times for when the matches are supposed to pop up. And for me, it kind of ruins that aspect of trying to play the game anytime, because some days I don't have time to jump on in and play the game from this hour to this hour. And sometimes those hours, they don't even have players come in. Like, I waited 5 times in a row where the game would kind of start and players would be like right next to each other and we're about to ready to get into the game, and then someone disconnects and then we have to reset all over again. Not a big fan of that. I think that's a terrible thing to make players wait. Now, this game is in beta, and I'm going to say this right now. Everything that I am saying has a chance for it to change for the better or for the worse. And that's really about it for this video. Honestly, I thought about making this video for a little bit. When the developers actually reached out to me to say, hey, can you give us feedback and play this game, and maybe you could be a part of the creators program, I was more than happy to do it, and I'm hoping that this feedback to the developers will be more than enough to let them know what I think about the game, and they can decide whether or not my feedback is good or not. And I hope that maybe it's good enough at least. This was kind of on the spot as well, so the script was not there at all. And this is just all my personal take and opinion on it. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, it's all good. Just let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about the game. Have you guys tried Brazen Blaze before? If not, are you thinking about trying it out? It is free to play. Go ahead and try it out if you want to. And honestly, for me, I'm not a big fan of the game. I'm probably not going to touch it again until maybe the 1.0 release. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll check you guys all later, okay? Deuces, take care, everyone.